Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in for our pre-match build-up show. Liverpool taking on the newly promoted side, Norwich City. Delia, will she be out on the pitch anyway? But it's a massive game to kickstart the Premier League campaign. Football is finally back. I'm joined by two very special guests, two good mates. And first, I'll introduce Micky from Planet LFC. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. How have you been?
I've been fantastic. Obviously, I went to the two pre-season friendlies with you, so much to talk about later about them, but all good. It's glad to be back.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate. All Micky's socials and everything will be in the drop down. So that's Planet LFC. Make sure you head over and subscribe to his channel. Appreciate you coming on, Micky. And Owen from the Kop On podcast. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. How have you been? Hope you're all, mate.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me on here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very well, thank you. I'm still in Spain at my mum's place. They got these, it's a sort of multinational community around here, and they've got all these pan-European products. So just before I was munching on Pannenberg, and I recommend that. And I don't know if Delia's watching, but you could do well to steal this recipe, Delia, because this is top quality Dutch fruit cake. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about the new season. Like, we've got our top quality Dutch fruit cake coming back, and it's got me all jiggly and zingy.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. Couldn't have said it any better. It's an exciting time for all Reds involved. And if you are watching or listening and you want to get involved, you're very welcome to. I think this season all of us are wanting to collaborate, especially me. You're very welcome to come on. If you want to jump on a show with Owen, Micky, me, or get in contact, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and be very happy to get back to you. Same as Micky, I will drop Owen the Kop On podcast overs. What social channels are you on, mates? All on Spotify, sorry, is it?
With Kop On, yeah, it's in wherever you get your podcast, basically. Yeah, so Spotify, iTunes. I use an app called Podcast Addict that I really like on my Android, and it's on all of them where it should be. And if not, you can either email your provider to complain or email me koponpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll just send you the audio, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, Owen. Hey, Micky, we'll get straight into it. I'll ask you and Owen your thoughts just briefly on Liverpool's pre-season, how you felt it's gone. Everyone at home, let me know your thoughts, or let us know your general consensus, your standout players in pre-season. Micky, just general thoughts on how pre-season has went, and has there been any players that have really stood out for you?
So I'll start with, I think this is the pre-season Klopp has always wanted, because normally he goes on tour and he doesn't want that, and he has hundreds of games a week to try and fit in all over the world. And when they come back, they're jet lagged, they're a bit tired, so they don't train properly just before the Premier League starts. I think this is exactly what he wanted: a getaway, all the team together, all living apart from their partners, getting to bond each other. I think perfect pre-season. For me, the standout player by a mile is Harvey Elliott. He's becoming the player that I said he would become. As you know, I'm a big advocate of Harvey Elliott, and I think it's coming sooner for him. He looks a big player for us. He may have saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. It was great to see you, Micky, anyway, at the pre-season. It was great just to have the fans back. Yeah, go ahead. There you go. Add on to what you said there.
I've seen great stuff from Keita and Chamberlain. I'm just hoping they can move that onto the Premier League, because they have so many full starts. And it's not being critical, it's just being realistic. If they play as good as pre-season, then we've got the players that we've brought back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To be fair, Chamberlain did have a great first season till his injury, so we've got to be fair to him, but we've not seen Naby Keita in a red shirt yet come anywhere near what he was like when he played in Germany for Red Bull. So let's wait and see. Hopefully, touch wood, that he's on full form.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there. Liverpool will be in a massive strong point won't you, Reds, if those two are back fully fired. And Owen, have you been impressed by Liverpool's pre-season? As Micky's alluded to, it's not ideal. Well, obviously, the last 16, 18 months we've had in terms of the squad can't really travel as far. But have you been impressed with the performances and the intensity? And obviously, is any players that stood out for you?
Sorry. Yeah, greatly. I've been greatly impressed by lots of it. I mean, I think Mick's exactly right to point out Harvey Elliott. For me, he's one of several standouts. I mean, Tsimikas, the first interview that I watched in pre-season was Jurgen Klopp talking about how players, he's got players together from day one, as Mick mentioned, which is brilliant news. But he said players that, maybe last season it wasn't their season for different reasons, but then this is the start of a new season. So it's really a new beginning for some of them. And I really think Kostas Tsimikas has taken that on board. I mean, you can tell he's super fit. Like, he's really looked after himself, despite being, a reserve player basically for all of last year. And he's shown, his talent getting up and down the left wing, left side, that he's more than able as a deputy for Andy Robbo. And obviously we want Robertson to come back because he's literally the best in the world. But Tsimikas is really, I'm really very, very happy with his progress. But he's not the only one. I think the actual best performer of pre-season has been the fitness coach, the head of fitness, because Minamino, Keita, Chamberlain, Virgil, Joe Gomez, Joel Matip, all of these players who've had so many injury problems, they've come back and they look really ready and sharp, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there. And fingers crossed, Liverpool, spot on there, Owen, Mickey, that Liverpool can have a positive impact this season. I know all of us don't like to say it, but it more or less will be like signing new players if we have a full season of Naby, Ox, Virgil van Dijk back fully fit. He was a massive miss last year. And Joe Gomez, and complemented very well with Canate. Reds, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, or whatever channels you are watching as well. Let us know your thoughts. I was massively impressed over the Osasuna game anyway. The impact and his distribution from the back. I think we've seen him, Canate, Ibu, his nickname, the lads are calling him now. His distribution is very confident. I know it's pre-season, but it's reassuring to see. Yes, that's an aspect of what a centre-back of Liverpool needs. We've seen similar centre-backs at Liverpool Football Club really struggle. Obviously, you look at Sacco, really struggled to really be calm, composed on the ball. But Joel Matip, Van Dijk, it's an asset in which you do need. But let us know your thoughts, Reds, in the comment section below on pre-season. Any standout performers, really. Very much echo the words the lads. Harvey Elliott, Minamino, I think give him another 6 months to grow into it. Whether he goes on loan but I think we will keep hold of him. It's whether Liverpool can shift out Shaqiri or Divock Origi or other potential players as well. Just a quick one to note before we do go on to the Norwich pre-match build-up, getting the thoughts of the lads. Doku, I think he's from Nice or Lille, one of the teams anyway. The young Belgium. He more or less burst onto the scene in the Euros that we've just had. I was very impressed with him. He's very rapid, can play either on the left or up front. Interesting reports coming out over the last couple of hours anyway in relation to various sources. Be interesting to see if anything comes to fruit in relation to how reliable it is. Liverpool is supposedly rumoured to be looking at him for a favour in and around 25 to 35 million with a potential inclusion of Shaqiri. So watch this space. Would you be impressed with him, Reds? He's a very promising youngster. I think Liverpool did have the option to sign him a couple of seasons back. Anyway, he was on trial at Liverpool, but he didn't feel that was the right stage in his career and development to come to Liverpool, which you've got to admire in a player. He wants to get first team football, and he's really broken into the scene in Europe over the last couple of years anyway. But just a quick one on Norwich as we delve. I'll ask the lads and your thoughts as well, everyone at home listening. Norwich finished top of the championship it sounds like Rafa Benitez club, top of the Championship last season. He scored an impressive 75 goals with 8 fit, conceding 36 goals anyway. Just a couple of players in which Norwich have delved into the transfer market, or key players in terms of their squad. Billy Gilmour on loan from Chelsea, seeing how impressive he was when he's broke into the Chelsea ranks. Timo Pukki, he's the man. When Norwich were in the Premier League, he burst onto the Premier League scene, didn't he? I think he got player of the month, or he got a lot of goals, and then obviously fizzled out later as the Premier League did progress. And then Joshua Sargent, the American, I think he's from Werder Bremen, or a Bundesliga side anyway. He's moved. Max Aarons, who's been a man who has been very heavily sought at in terms of around Europe. Todd Cantwell, obviously he's their creative spark. Will Aston Villa look to replace him for Jack Grealish, and obviously Rashika from the Werder Bremen? I think he come on a free transfer. So, Owen, I'll ask you, mate, what do you reckon? How do you reckon Norwich will fare this season? Do you reckon they will do exactly what they usually tend to do, come into the Premier League, or do you think possibly this time they come up, will they be a bit less pragmatic in terms of how expansive their football is? I don't think they'll heavily change in terms of tactics-wise coming into the Premier League. It's very difficult, but do you think they'll continue with this gun-ho nature in terms of attack and flow?
It's a very interesting question. Only yesterday, I interviewed a guy with a great name, Dave Freezer. He's always the coolest guy in the room. And he was saying that he writes, he's the chief Norwich City reporter for the Eastern Daily Press, which is like the Liverpool Echo in Norwich. And he's the chief Norwich reporter, and he's also got his own Norwich podcast called The Pinken. The Pink One, if you like, but it's spelled UN, the Pinken. And so he's a great person to talk to, because I don't know anything about Norwich, or I didn't before yesterday. But from what I can gather, what the things we need to bear in mind for this weekend is that 2 years ago, when they were in the Premier League and they got relegated, they lost 10 matches in a row. It was the worst run in their history. And they had problems in central defence, and when the players eventually came back from injury, no one had any confidence. They knew they were going down, and they just sort of downed tools. To come back from that and to get 97 points in the Championship shows you the great resolve of this team that comes from their manager, Daniel Farke. And Dave said to me yesterday, very, very important thing to note as well is the last time they were in the Premier League, when they got promoted, they just gave new contracts to everybody, and they didn't really sign anybody. And they just thought, well, let's just see how well we do. And obviously it didn't go so well. This time they have strengthened. They've spent more than they ever have before, because they have a particular way of funding themselves. They're not, they're funded, they're completely self-sufficient somehow. I don't know how it works exactly.
They're not backed by oil, are they?
Yes, they haven't. They haven't even got. I don't know, like the Scilly Isles backing them. They've got nothing, nobody backing them. But so they spent lots of money. They've made them. They've recruited very interestingly. They've lost Buendia, who got 15 goals and 15 assists, but I think we should expect a more steely and determined Norwich than we've seen before.
Yeah, spot on. Would you add on what the fantastic stuff Owen said about Norwich there, Micky? Have you seen a lot of them? What do you think, gauging from when you were last in the Premier League, Micky? Do you reckon they'll, as I said to Owen, they'll adapt their approach, or what would you like to see them from a neutral point of view, looking from the outside to Norwich?
To be honest, the manager Farke doesn't like, he plays one way, doesn't he? Attacking. Where in the Championship they are slightly better than the sides there, and it seems to work. But when he comes to the Premier League, he's up against let's say 12 or 13 clubs that would pick him off when they do on the counter attack, when they do go forward, and that's what their problem was every time they come to the Premier League. So they've always been an expansive, playing, forward-thinking side, and I don't see him changing. I think they can out-muscle teams. Remember, they got some great results against some big clubs last time they were up, and let's be fair, that first game that we played against them before, the scoreline flattered us because they were in the second half. They were all over us, and we struggled big time. We're going for. I just don't think they're going to change, and unfortunately, I think they're going to end up going back down. They're my favourites to finish bottom, simply because it's not. They've got great players, they're great going forward, but I just don't think they've got enough in defence, and I don't think they're going to change their tactics. I think they're just going to go for it, and they will get picked off by the slightly better sides as the season goes on. Their best chance is getting early results when teams aren't as fit. But once the season's rolling, as you've seen last time, they got some great results, but towards the middle part and the end, they were terrible because the other teams were picking them off. So they've got to start the ball rolling straight away. But I personally believe Liverpool are going to smash them in this first game.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Mickey. Right, Owen, we'll get straight into team lineup. Reds, let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Drop us your 1 to 11. Pick 5 or 6 subs anyway. Who do you think? We'll take into account injuries possibly, but just Owen, let me know just read out your 1 to 11, mate, for us, and let us know who you would select against the mighty Norwich.
Well, obviously, Karius in goal. No. Alisson in goal. Trent, Konate, Matip, and Tsimikas. Obviously, Tsimikas and Trent. I've gone for Konate and Matip because they look the fittest. I'd have VVD on the bench with pretty much a promise that he'll get some game time the last 20 minutes, half an hour. But to go from it was only last week or maybe 10 days ago that he played his first sort of 40 minutes, and as someone was saying on my podcast yesterday, Stephen Drennan from Crack Stats, it's a bit of a big ask for someone to jump from 40 minutes in a friendly to whatever he did the other day, 60, 70 minutes, and then a 90-minute Premier League match. VVD on the bench, and then in midfield, Keita, Fabinho, and Milner. The golden boy Elliott would be on the bench because I want in the first game, I want Keita and Fabinho because they're both brilliant. Keita's looking strong, and James Milner as well because he's fit, he's ready, he's worked very hard in pre-season, and he's not a 6. He's never a 6, but in the 8, I think he's very effective. And the front three, the usual front three, Bobby. I've never really doubted Bobby. Even last season when he had lots and lots of doubters, I still think he was pretty good. It was just he was just tired, but now he's had a rest. He didn't really play in the Copa America too much, and there you go. There's my team.
I think you're spot on there, Mickey. Your 1 to 11 on the bench as well. I'm hoping we do get all of our players back fully fit. But Mick, drop us your 1 to 11 and your subs.
It's got to be Alisson in goal, and there's no doubt about that. The 2 fullbacks obviously would have been Robinson, but now he's injured. It's Tsimikas on the left, Trent on the right. Without a shadow of doubt, them 2 now will be the first choice until Robinson gets back. But even then, he's got to build his way back into fitness. So this is a big chance for Tsimikas to put his mark on the team. Konate will start. And I think it'd be Konate and Matip because, like Owen said, I don't think Gomez and Van Dijk have got a full 90 minutes in them yet. It's going to take a little bit of a while, but they will be weaned in. And I think eventually, in a few games' time, it will be Van Dijk and Konate because they are the 2 best defenders at the club, without a shadow of a doubt. I've seen him up close now, and Konate was immense. Bringing the ball forward, typical Liverpool defender. It reminds me of Daniel Agger, the way he brought it forward and doing the passes from it. So that's good. Midfield, and this is where it's going to get really, really tough. James Milner is going to start. I've got to think he's flying, he's on it. There's a couple of others that deserve to be in there, like Chamberlain, and Keita, but I don't think they're going to make it. So I think it's going to be Fabinho, Milner, and Harvey Elliott. I think the hint Harvey Elliott's played every first team game. He's one of the few that have, and I think they've seen something there. Him and Salah are building a nice little relationship. And then forward, it's obvious it's going to be the front three. Mo, Firmino, and oh my God, I've lost his name now. Mane. That's it.
Yeah, Mane.
It's too much pop. Mane. Yeah, so they've got a lot to prove the front three this year because they got a bit of a slating last year and they weren't as good. Only Mo really held his head up high. Like Owen said, the other two look tired. They've got no excuse this year. Mane's had a full pre-season off. They came back a week later than normal. There's no excuse for Mane now. And Firmino didn't really play in the Copa America that much, which is why they lost in the final, because they now have Liam or Alisson in the team, which was, I can't believe that happened when I watched it, because I watched that final. I was like, where the hell are the Liverpool boys? Well, there you go. You reap what you sow.
It's what happens, isn't it?
You reap what you sow. They've got a lot to prove, so they will be on fire. I just hope Salah doesn't try too hard, because when he tries too hard, things go wrong for him. He just needs to go back to how he was in the first season he's with us. Everything natural. Use the other boys as well if he has to. Don't take the impossible shots on unless you can score. It's going to be great. Whoever plays, it's going to be great. So there's many positive. The midfield is the one where everyone's going to get it right. I think the defence and the forward line is going to be spot on. It's the midfield where we're all going to be surprised. Klopp might even throw spanner in the works and play somebody else there. You never know, do you?
Yeah, it's spot on there, lads. Let us know your thoughts on the lads' team selection and yours as well, Reds, at home or in work, wherever you're listening or watching. But yeah, it's exciting times for Liverpool this season. As I said to the lads off air over the last couple of weeks, and been speaking to you all of them, I'm very positive for this Liverpool side. I know the media have not really been bigging up Liverpool as much. I think you look at Man City, the money they're spending, Chelsea with Romelu Lukaku will be a massive threat. But Owen, just a final question, really, mate. In terms of how do you envision Liverpool going this season? In terms of, are you confident of Liverpool challenging for top prizes this year, or do you think possibly we could do with adding one or two to our improving the quality in terms of the fringe players?
I think we're absolutely ready. I think we're in a brilliant position as well, because rival fans, and by extension, I would imagine rival teams, would be somewhat underestimating us, because no one's really talking about us. We haven't made any marquee signings, although Kanate is absolutely terrific. I think we're absolutely ready to. I mean, but it all depends on injuries. At this point, every single season, I say the same thing, because it's just true. I mean, that's experience tells us that if we're unlucky with injuries, then we're going to suffer more than, for example, Manchester City, who have got 6 more £40 million plus players than we do. 6. Imagine spending 40 million on 6 extra players for our squad. How good would it be then? And it's already unbelievable. I don't think we need to be competitive. I think we're already competitive. We're already, for me, if we're lucky with injuries, we are the favourites for this league, because I think if City get Kane, they're the favourites, but they haven't solved their big issue, which is to score goals. Lukaku, that was a massive issue for Chelsea. He's going to make a huge difference to them. So yeah, between us, I don't see United. I just don't see them doing it. I know I'm biased, but I don't see them doing much. But yeah, I think it would be. It would definitely be, if we're lucky with injuries, it's Liverpool's year.
But I love it, Owen. Absolutely love it. That's it's I don't envision Man United challenging, Mickey. Just add on what Owen's thought. Your thoughts on Liverpool's season this coming year, mate? Yes, they've signed Varane. Yes, they've signed Sancho. All the teams around Liverpool and City are trying to, as Owen alluded to, catch up to them, really trying to bridge that gap. Lukaku, Timo Werner was missing so many chances. But for me, what are your thoughts on Liverpool's aspirations this season, Mickey, from your point of view? And really, where do you think we can go? Or and as well, to add on any, do you think we should recoup any in terms of money, in terms of transfers going out the club, and bringing anyone in?
So, yes, the other teams are going to have all the pressure because the pressure's on, and the media put the pressure on, and the media have written us off already. No pressure on us. That you don't know how much that helps. We're not expected to be in the top 4 this year, according to all the media. Yeah, so fair play. It's the pressure's not on us, and Klopp likes it that way. He likes to be the underdog. He likes to be Rocky Balboa against Apollo Creed. You know what I mean? He likes to be the small man. He doesn't. When we were favourites last year, we buckled. Yeah, he doesn't like that. He likes to do it from the back. That's why he did. He's so good at Dortmund, because Dortmund were always the underdogs, and he always pulled it out of the bag. And that's what he likes to do, and that's what we're going to do. The pressure on United now is massive. They spent money, and the crowds are back there now. When the crowds were there before, they failed because the crowd got on the back if they started playing bad. So that's where United will fail. I think City are exploding from within. They're all, because Grealish has burned this money and this thing now. The others want the money, and they're not going to pay them. And a lot of them are throwing the dummy out the pram, like Bernardo Silva. So the only thing about City is if they don't get Kane in, they've got to do a last-minute panic buy for a striker, which ain't going to help them. And they're going to do the in-house fighting, which a lot of them want to leave, ain't going to do them any good. So that may affect them a little bit. They're still going to win games, and they're still going to win big points. But it's not going to help them. It's Chelsea who I'm worried about, and adding Lukaku to Chelsea is just what they needed. Somebody that can hold that ball up, and then the others. Timo Werner might have a better season with Lukaku in the side. I'm not saying Lukaku is going to score 40, 50 goals a season, because he's not that good. Yeah, but what he is good at is holding the ball up. When he's at United, he had no one to play off. Now he's got Werner to play off. You'll probably see Werner score more goals this year, and they're the ones I think. Come January, February, I think it's between Liverpool and Chelsea.
Yeah, we've seen it with the pattern of play, Mickey, and when everyone won it. Liverpool won the Champions League and then went on to win the league. Will it be the same with Chelsea? Interesting. Tuchel's a very good manager, but you're spot on there, lads. Thank you very much, both of you, and thank you to every single one of you for listening or watching anyway. Owen, thank you very much, mate. Just a quick shout out to all your socials so everyone can drop you a follow.
Yeah, but I basically use Twitter more than anything, at Kop On Podcast. Otherwise, just check us out on your favourite podcast app. Thank you very much, Jack. It's been a pleasure as well.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you. Same to you, Mickey. Mickey, do your socials so everyone can head over and subscribe.
So Facebook is Micky Friars. It's FRYERS, Mickey in front with EY. It's mfries50 on Twitter, and then it's the Planet LFC on YouTube, which is going to get a relaunch next week. It's sort of gone dwindling. Obviously, I have problems with me mother in and out of hospital and stuff, if you remember. So sort of had to put everything on hold. Didn't have the time, if you know what I mean. I didn't have time to even go to work. So I ain't got time to do YouTube videos, but it's all going well now. So I'm going to start them smashing off straight after the Norwich game this week. So
yeah, I hope she's all right, mate. Anyway, but thank you for both.
Oh yeah, she's making a full recovery.
Yeah, good to hear, mate. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming on. And everyone at home, I hope you enjoyed the episodes. If you have enjoyed today's episode, make sure you do drop a like on the video. And if you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And if you are listening and you would like to drop on the podcast, as it says at the top of the show, you're very welcome to. Is looking to get as many Reds around the globe as well. And if you're camera shy, you don't have to come on. We can do an audio podcast as well. So it'd be amazing to get all the wide ranging views on Liverpool. But Reds, you'll never walk alone. And cheers, lads, for coming on. And we'll see you very soon. Cheers, lads.